Welcome back to 2024. We turn the page on another lacrosse season, which starts up for the University of Detroit Mercy's. Chris Colin, we're getting a chance to talk to him early season about what's coming up. You're back on the field, Chris, and for Titan Review, I just had a conversation. We'll talk a little bit about sort of the off season and how's everything gone so far, early part of the season.
Well, we've been kind of snowed and iced and had some issues with logistics and fields. So we're having that, typically in the U of D season and in all the years I've been doing this, we have one kind of major event that's out of our control, that kind of affects a week or two, whether it's a bus breaking down or all the things that happen and kind of the level of lacrosse that we're at. And we're hoping that this snow was it. This was the kind of that big event that happened. So we've been, trekking around to different places and trying to make some stuff up. So we've done the best we can. The great thing is the attitude's been great. We've got a pretty hungry group that's pretty unsatisfied from last year, as we felt last year was our first normal year back after COVID. It's a pretty hungry group. So their attitude's been amazing. It's an amazing group of kids that are already putting up with some adversity. So hopefully that will pay dividends later.
You start your 10th year at the head of the University of Detroit Mercy's lacrosse program. It's been your 16th year, 17th year on the sidelines for the Titans. So you've been there a while. You're a bit of a staple. We've talked last season. We talked quite a bit about the NEC, and we're going to have that conversation over the 12 shows we're going to do this coming season. We're going to put out a schedule as to when we're going to have the review, and we'll have some conversations with coaches and kind of get through those other things. Today we're going to talk specifically about offense and where it starts, and a little bit about the early season, because you open up at Marquette early February, and you follow that up with 3 pretty tough non-league games with Ohio State, Rutgers, and I'm missing somebody.
VMI's in there. We're playing
VMI.
VMI.
You're going to play them. You're going to play them in Ohio. You're going to meet them halfway, so you're not driving. So let's start with this. You're leaving the ASUN, but you're in the ASUN for 2024. As a head coach, where is your head, in the NEC or the ASUN?
Well, it's a lot of, it's a difficult thing right now. We've got a lot of young talent, right? A lot of it. And we've also got a lot of really great academic programs that are 5-year programs, right? So, I think one of the biggest things that we have against the transfer portal is these great programs when you can get a terminal degree in 5 years, whether it's an MBA, master's in psychology, master's in engineering, where most of our guys lie in terms of their degree. So yeah, there's a lot going on. You look at some of the younger freshmen and do we want to use them this year? Do we want to do a red shirt? I think with a couple injuries and things like that, we might redshirt some kids, we might not. I'm a very big in the moment type of guy, and I think you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? So if you've got a great player now, you play them, right? You play them and you try to win every game, and you try to get the best outcome you can get and grow that way. So yeah, my head's all over the place right now. We've got a lot of young guys and even some older guys that we're going to hope we're going to step up. It's their time to step up. So I would say nothing is really set on offense at this point, because of all those factors, right? Your mind's in a lot of different places, but I'm probably going to lean more to being in the moment and trying to put the best product we can out, right?
2023, you're 2-11, 5 games you've lost by more than 10 goals. Does that change your thinking that you really kind of want to get back after it, having it less than a stellar 2023?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where everybody's really hungry. Towards the end of the year, I'll tell you, like, we were in a lot of games early, and towards the end of the year, we really had some bad losses, and I'm not used to that. We're used to if our record's our record at a mid-major school, and we play a lot of early games that make it where we're over 500, well over 500 in our conferences over time. But we play those Big Ten schools and harder opponents early, to kind of get ready for that. But it's a very, very, very hungry group. We've got a lot of defensive personnel back who saw a lot of rubber. We've got a real, probably the best goalie situation we've had, and we've had some really good goalies. We've got five really, really good goalies. So we're in good shape defensively. And offense, it's just a question, right? And we're working them really hard. They're trying harder than I think any offense has ever tried. They're putting their time in off the field, on the field. But again, it's a big question mark.
During the season, we're going to get a chance to talk about individual players and their accomplishments and where you're headed as you get off the mark. What did you recruit in the offseason for your weakness? What is it you go after and look for? And talk a little bit about that. And what offensively do you, I understand you have to score more goals. But if you look at the Robert Morris game last year, which was somewhat an anomaly on that schedule because Robert Morris was a very good team and you defeated them. And so my question is, what did you look for in the offseason in players? And what do you have to do offensively to make that work? Because again, you're a defensive coach by trade.
Right. What we need is we need to kind of upend some defenses, right? As a defensive coach, you know that you're weakest when you're moving, when you're transferring fields, when you're when the defense is not set in a position of power, right? So I thought we were a little slow with that last year. So we've been working on that. And we've also worked on, we're having a significant change in our weight room, right? So the gains in the weight room have been amazing, right? Is it going to be, enough to beat a Utah team? I would hope so. We're going to try our best, but we've had a huge gain, and I think those offensive guys, especially when it comes to the level of contact and speed, and they were pretty durable last year, but we really had a tough time with the physicality part of this game last year on offense. We really could get stopped pretty quickly, in any kind of dodging scenario, any kind of offense. I mean, even just guys cutting, they would get, that we didn't have the physicality that we needed to be a really productive offense. So we've worked on that. We've recruited that for sure. We've got some really tough kids that are younger guys, really younger, talented guys. And we'll see over the next 2 years a much more physical offense that we've traditionally had over time. Part of it is the recruiting from COVID. We didn't do a really good job coming out of COVID with that, so that's on me as the coach. But we feel we've righted the ship with that, and we really are looking forward to a really good group moving forward.
A lot of the West Coast teams that are coming into the Big Ten in football, Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC, there's been lots of conversations during the bowl games and during the national championships about having to sort of bulk up to be into the Big Ten because it's a speed sport on the West Coast, and it's certainly a much bigger sport here. You're leaving the ASUN, going to a less physical league. Is that a fair statement? And the follow-up to that would be, are you recruiting for the NEC, or are you recruiting for what you're recruiting for, just looking for talent?
We're looking for the best damn team we can have, right? So I think that ASUN stuff has helped us, and we're going to leave it before we actually see the, benefits of it, right? Like, we announced ASUN, we had COVID, we had all the issues that kind of the school in general had. We're going to be a pretty big team in the ASUN. Well, we'll be a pretty big team physically.
Obviously, we're going to have a conversation with probably one of your better players, Luke Majek, who is Forest Hill Central product. He's an early ASUN preseason all-league pick. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit about his project. 31 points last year on 20 goals and 11 assists. At least you got something to build around. I know the number of points isn't great, but in the 13 games you played, that's still 2.3 average in terms of points per game. But he's also 18th in the league. And there's got to be, if you're going to win, you've got to have at least a couple guys, I would think, in the top 10.
Well, and the thing with Luke, to stick on him for a sec, and I think why the coaches recognized him to be kind of in that top tier with only one team in the preseason, right? That top three middies in the conference, right? Is because Luke is if they counted second assists in lacrosse, he'd be a huge part of that. He drew so much attention off ball, and was a part of that offense where he might have not been the first assist, where it was the second assist, so much that a lot of the offense started with him. And between him and Kesnick, that you've got two established guys that are really good players. I think Kesnick was off by a couple votes, Stephen, in there. So we have two strong midfielders coming back, and we got a lot of guys that are almost there. that we're hoping can jump over the hump that we need them to.
Fair to say you got to have this year. You've got to have at least somebody that can finish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's that was a trouble, right? You called our games. We had a lot of offense where we got almost there quite a bit, or we shot poorly, right? So I think those two things we've talked about from the second it went on to probably the second half of the season. Uh, I had some guys that were pretty sore at me because we were having some pretty tough, hard, honest conversations about it. And I give them a lot of credit. A lot of guys worked on their strength. They worked on their shot. They worked on every part that they needed to. So if I hope it's enough, right? You never know what's enough or not until we're out there. But I'm really proud of the level of just so many guys offensively that they're trying to step up into the level we need them to be.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a conversation about specific players as we get through the season. We'll talk to Luke here in a couple of seconds about his expectations coming up. You open with a scrimmage at Notre Dame in early February, the first week of February, I think February 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Sunday, February 3rd, it's their big coaches convention. It's a 10 in the morning scrimmage. We're going to actually leave the day of, so a little adversity right out. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning, getting a little bit of breakfast, making the 4-hour bus ride, and going to play the best team in the country. So, it's going to be a lot of fun for the guys, and we got nothing to lose, so we play pretty loose, we play pretty tough, and I'm really looking forward to see what we have.
And one conversation we'll have before the season's out, and we're going to talk about travel and its adversities. Certainly its successes, but last year it was very much an adverse effect on your team when you sit your butt on a bus for hours. It's a really difficult time when everybody else is doing different processes with flying and getting places quicker. It just makes you tired.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the move to the NEC. Like, when you're traveling with 50 young men, 10 hours on a bus is almost like any kind of plane ride you're going to get, right? You're going to typically get that early morning plane ride or some weird hours or some weird connecting flights on Southwest with all the bags and everything. So, good news is the new league we're in is around 10 hours. And ultimately, if we're busing to somebody, I would hope my opponent would bus back, right? That was typically our max scenario. And that's what we're going to come back to versus guys taking two buses, planes, chartered planes, all the fun stuff that those guys get to do. That's not available to us.
Well, appreciate the time. This is the first show kickoff for the 2024 season.
I appreciate everything you do for this. It's it's after a Lions game. Most people would be doing a lot of other things than this, and I appreciate you and all the time that you put into it, because you're doing it out of the level of lacrosse, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the comment. In 2024, we'll bring you a Titan Review on Mondays. So we'll bring, sort of pick up from the weekend or whatever, and some Chris's comments on what happened. And we'll hopefully be able to also give you some insight from coaches who are upcoming on the schedule. Try to talk to some of the ASUN coaches as we get through the season, and try to give you some real insight to what the program is doing this year, and then moving ahead into the NEC next year. So Chris, I'll be looking forward to talking with you on Sunday nights. And for the next 14 weeks, we'll hopefully bring you some good, solid information. So up next is a conversation with Luke Midgick. We're going to talk to him about being a preseason all-conference ASUN pick and a former Forest Hill Central product. Will be with us in a second. Welcome back. We're talking with Luke Midgick, who is a graduate student at the University of Detroit Mercy in his 5th year of playing lacrosse at the collegiate level. And you are a preseason all-conference ASUN candidate, and based on having a great year last year. You were the 18th scorer in the league and 31 points last year, 20 goals and 11 assists. And you're going into your graduation year. This is a graduate year for you. And I'm assuming you're getting your master's at something.
Yeah, MBA. Yep.
Why come back for a 5th year?
I think kind of classes wise, I was ahead with my undergrad classes, so I only had a couple more graduate classes to go. But like thinking of lacrosse, I wanted to finish my lacrosse career better than the way it started at Detroit. I wanted to leave the program in a better place than when it was. So that was kind of a driving factor for me and other graduates, like Kyle Loken, who's also a captain of the team, trying to leave the program in a better place.
Luke, you are a preseason pick Does that it's got to make you put a smile on your face a little bit because obviously they're recognizing you as being one of the better players in the league.
Yeah, it's a good honor, but at the end of the day, like I'm just our team's trying to get wins.
Do you have to be more offensive this year? That's kind of the conversation we had with Chris Colin. You guys got to score more goals because even with you being the 18th score points per game at 2.38, you're 18th in the league. You've got to have guys, I would think, in the top 10. So what are you thinking about? What are you doing in training for this year to get ready to maybe hit the back of the net a few more times?
I think it starts in the weight room. Since I've been here, we've had three different strength coaches, so that's a lot of turnover. And I think the coach we got this year has been really good, implementing a lot of strength program for us, Coach Sam. He's been tremendous, helping us grow as athletes, making us bigger, faster, stronger. That's only going to help us in the long run.
Tough league. The ASUN obviously are going to the NEC. Any predictions on wins and losses? You had a tough campaign last year at 2-11. So
Yeah,
this year, hopefully, some different victories. Although you guys start out pretty difficult schedule at
yeah,
Marquette, Ohio State, Rutgers. Those are not easy teams to play.
yeah, definitely. I think it's a great learning experience for us. In years past, we relied a lot on youth, but I think we've got a more veteran led team this year, a bunch, especially defensively. Um, it's pretty much the same attack, a couple new positions, but besides that, I think we have a veteran led group that is looking to improve upon and get more wins than we did last year.
Briefly talk to us about the new recruits coming in. There's quite a bit of talent that's come into the landscape. Chris spent some time in the offseason making sure he got from coast to coast. And is there
Mhm.
anybody that sticks out, or is there any trend that sticks out with some of the new guys?
I think overall the freshman class has been really good. There's a bunch of them. They're all really competitive, and they're really pushing the upperclassmen guys as well. That's something that I definitely appreciate from them. Definitely pushing the older guys who maybe are borderline playing time guys. Definitely pushing them to get better, and that's only going to help us in the long run.
Are you a better team as we stand today than you were this time last year at the same date?
Um, it's hard to tell. I mean, we still have like 3 more weeks to a month before our first game, but I like the way we're heading in the right direction. Definitely a lot more competitive, especially in practice and stuff like that.
For those that don't know, Forest Hill Central is a factory. They seem to be able to put, well, most of those Grand Rapids schools are doing a great job of putting out talent. What is it about Forest Hill Central that is just, and I'm just curious from my own standpoint, because as a coach, high school coach, we've played against them an awful lot. What is it you guys do that's a little bit different than everybody else?
I don't know. That's a good question. Coach Shira is definitely a great coach. Me and him still text like to this day, and I'm 5 years out of high school. I think that's really cool. The relationship that he builds with his players is definitely tremendous. And playing multiple sports too. I think that at least with Central, most of the kids in my class either played football, basketball, or lacrosse, some combination of those three sports. That definitely helps develop an athlete for sure.
Well, good. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time with us, and best of luck this summer. Boy, that's stupid. Let me start over. I was like, cut this. Appreciate you taking the time with us and have a great season. And we will be looking forward to hopefully having some conversations with you as we move forward with Titan Review. So best of luck.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Luke.